Considering how many times this move has been rumored to happen over the years, we probably shouldn't be surprised that it has finally happened. But I guarantee that no one here had Lewis Hamilton moving to Ferrari on their off-season accumulator bet. The story developed from rumors to confirmation in the space of an afternoon, and by the end of the day on Thursday, Mercedes were absolutely shook, and Ferrari were on top of the world. The most successful driver in F1 history has left the team that gave him all that success to go and join their direct rivals. Today, I'll cover how Hamilton broke the news to Mercedes boss Toto Wolff, how the deal happened and Lewis's reasons for leaving, whether it's a genius move or a disaster waiting to happen, and what happens now for Carlos Sainz and Mercedes. This is juicy, so don't go anywhere. When we released our video on Thursday breaking this news, we knew it would be big, but the more we thought about it, the bigger it got. The repercussions on the driver market, the hell it's going to cause Mercedes, and what it says about the behind the scenes at the Silver Arrows is huge. What about Carlos Sainz? What does this now mean for him? And what about Ferrari? They now unarguably have the strongest driver lineup on the grid. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's start at the start. Just 5 months after signing a 2-year contract extension with the Mercedes F1 team, Lewis Hamilton has announced that he will be leaving the Silver Arrows after just one of those 2 years to join the Ferrari F1 team. Hamilton has completed 11 seasons for Mercedes, having joined the Brackley team back in 2013 and gone on to set a host of records, from championship wins, which he has tied with Michael Schumacher on 7, to pole positions with 104, race wins with 103, and much more. At the announcement of that new contract, Hamilton said, "We've never been hungrier to win. We've learned from every success, but also every setback. We continue to chase our dreams. We continue to fight no matter the challenge, and we will win again." What Mercedes didn't know at the time was that by we, Hamilton was actually thinking I. Many people thought that those last 2 years at Mercedes may have been his last in the sport, and Lewis would retire in his early 40s at the end of 2025. Before the new technical regulations began in 2026. Considering how Mercedes handled the last big regulation change in 2022, he may not have wanted to take a gamble on his team managing to make a competitive car. Hamilton will be driving past 2025 though, as the Ferrari deal is for multiple years, which could mean anything from 2 to 5 years. At the moment though, no one knows the exact details. Breaking the Mercedes deal early to join Ferrari is a real kick in the teeth for longtime friend and team boss Toto Wolff. Wolff has never known life at Mercedes without Hamilton. Both joined the team in 2013, and Lewis has been Toto's golden ticket to Formula One fame and success. The domineering Austrian has often said how amazing a relationship the two have together. When the negotiations for Hamilton's contract extension were ongoing, Wolff said that he can't sit down and talk about contracts with Hamilton himself because it feels wrong to negotiate money with someone who he sees as a brother. It is easy to have a good relationship when things are going well though. Every relationship is tested in stormy seas, and Mercedes' mast has been broken this winter. Hamilton and Wolff had an ongoing tradition that in the lead up to the new season, the two would meet at Toto's house for a talk about the previous season and what was to come in the new year. They could hash out their feelings and thoughts in a friendly and relaxed environment. Speaking previously about the value of these meetings, Wolff had said, "I think at the end of the season is a good moment where you can put everything on the table, some of the frustrations and undiscussed topics, and to reflect on them, and to analyze them, and to agree or find out what actually happened." The annual kitchen chat was scheduled for the Wednesday just gone, the day before the announcement that Lewis would be joining Ferrari broke. Hamilton had been at the factory the day before for a seat fitting before the 2024 season began. Wolff will have been thinking that he and Lewis could talk about the brand new car and what they could achieve with it in the new season. But instead, he got blindsided by Lewis, saying this would be their last year together. At the same time, Lewis's management team was giving official notice to the team at Mercedes headquarters. The timing of the announcement is important and sensible from Lewis and Ferrari. After the Scuderia signed on Charles Leclerc for a new long-term deal, the speculation about their second seat was starting to run rampant. It was obvious even from the outside that Sainz was not the team's first choice for the second seat, He had been pushing publicly for an extension for months, and Ferrari appeared completely uninterested in it. If the season would have started and the second seat still wasn't filled for 2025, the media frenzy around Ferrari would have been intense, to the point that it would have been an active distraction and annoyance in a season that they desperately want to go well. By announcing it 4 weeks before we see the cars on track at pre-season testing, the media storm has a chance to calm before all the involved parties find themselves in daily media duties. By announcing it now, the teams can focus on pre-season testing instead of silly season antics. Well, Ferrari can anyway. Sainz and Mercedes, on the other hand, have a lot of work to do, but I'll come back to that and the rest of the fallout shortly. First, I want to talk about why this move is happening now. Ferrari executive chairman John Elkann was reportedly the driving force behind the Italian outfit's sensational coup to lure Lewis Hamilton to Maranello. According to Sky Sports, many months of behind-the-scenes maneuvering and courting by Elkann culminated in Thursday's bombshell announcement that Hamilton will don the iconic red in 2025. Recognizing the immense opportunity to unite the sport's most decorated driver with Ferrari, the most successful team in F1, Elkann persisted and managed to crack the decade-long and seemingly unshakable foundation that united Hamilton and Mercedes. Ferrari team principal Fred Vasseur played no small part in the move. The two worked together in GP2 back in 2006 and have stayed close since. My understanding is that this courtship has been going on for some months, commented Sky Sports' Craig Slater. It's not a sudden thing. John Elkann, the president and a very heavy hitter, is very much at the center of it and the driving force. Team principal Fred Vasseur is someone Lewis knows from the junior days, so there's no friction there. It's not like the chairman has signed someone over the manager's back, that you sometimes get in football. This isn't like that. The move was helped by the fact that Lewis has said for a long time that he'd like to drive a Ferrari at some point during his career. In the past though, that move has made absolutely no sense, as Mercedes have been able to provide him with championship-winning cars. As prestigious as driving for Ferrari is, they haven't won a championship in 15 years, whereas Lewis had 14 with Mercedes in the past decade. Now though, Mercedes aren't capable of providing Lewis with a championship-contending car. There's no guarantee that Ferrari will be able to either, but there is reason to believe that Hamilton thinks Ferrari has a better chance than Mercedes does. I'm sure you know this already, but the Mercedes technical department has had problems since 2022. The zero-pod concept completely failed. They struggled to work out how to solve porpoising and get the most from the ground effect floor. And the senior management within the department saw a major reshuffle due to the failings. There has been more going on behind the scenes than just that though. Loic Serra was recently poached by Ferrari for the 2025 season after being the head of vehicle performance at Mercedes during their championship-winning seasons. Numerous outlets have claimed that Serra reportedly clashed with the Mercedes technical team led by Mike Elliott, particularly regarding the direction of the W13 and W14 projects, because of a notably long wheelbase and floor. Seemingly, both Hamilton and Serra were aligned, sharing their reservations regarding the 2022 spec car that was built under revised technical regulations. The British driver even went public with his concerns about the car during the 2023 season, saying, "Last year, I told them about the issues that are with the car. I've driven so many cars in my life, so I know what a car needs. I know what a car doesn't need." And I think it's really about accountability. It's about owning up and saying, "Yeah, you know what? We didn't listen to you. It's not where it needs to be and we've got to work." Clearly, the Mercedes factory was not the happy, collaborative, no-blame place that Wolff kept saying it was, and Serra's exit meant Lewis lost one of his biggest supporters. With Serra gone, Hamilton may have made the call that the team were not going in the direction that he thought they should be for the current technical regulations. He can't have known what was happening behind the scenes at Ferrari, but with Serra moving teams at the same time, he at least knew he had someone at Ferrari who saw eye to eye with him. Another factor in the move could have been money. Hamilton is set to make $100 million a year at Ferrari, vastly outstripping anything that anyone else on the grid is earning. That salary from Ferrari will make him the third best paid athlete in the world, after Justin Johnson and Phil Mickelson, two golfers who play in the Saudi-funded LIV Golf Tour. While his Mercedes deal was not insignificant, his wager Ferrari will be the biggest ever received by an F1 driver by a long shot, and it will last longer as well. While Hamilton will say publicly that his move to Ferrari is about new challenges, there is a lot more going on behind the scenes. So, does this move work out for Hamilton? Is Ferrari going to live up to the dream he's held for so many years? Or is this going to be a disaster for the 7-time world champion? Right now, there's no way of knowing whether he's made the right decision. This is a gamble, much more so than when he moved to Mercedes from McLaren in 2013. Then, the reasoning was that as a works team heading into an era of new, high-tech, extremely complicated hybrid engines, Mercedes would inevitably be stronger than McLaren, a customer team. Hamilton was proved right and his doubters wrong, but there is less obviously compelling logic this time. There are plenty of reasons why he should not have taken the plunge. Ferrari have not won a driver's title since 2007, when Kimi Raikkonen benefited from Hamilton and McLaren's implosion at the end of a year dominated by the Spygate controversy. Since then, Alonso has taken them closest when he narrowly missed out in fights with Red Bull's Sebastian Vettel in 2010 and 2012. But Alonso achieved that almost in spite of Ferrari, whose cars were less than competitive at the time. Hamilton witnessed firsthand Ferrari's implosions in 2017 and 2018, when they arguably had a faster car than Mercedes for much of the season, but fumbled the World Championship along with Vettel. And he knows full well their difficult recent history. This includes the controversy over whether their engine was illegal in 2019, their subsequent fall from competitiveness in 2020, and their collapse again in 2022, when a promising start from Leclerc seemed to put him in a commanding position in the championship, only for Ferrari's season to implode in a sequence of operational errors and reliability problems. There is plenty to say that this won't work out for Hamilton, but in the same sense, there are risks for Ferrari as well. Having the sport's most successful driver on your team is a huge boost, but with it comes a sharp edge that had been forgotten when Mercedes were winning, but not softened. Hamilton will call out Ferrari when things aren't going right. He did it to Mercedes plenty of times over the past 2 seasons when things were going wrong, and that was with Toto Wolff doing everything he could to placate his driver. There is also Leclerc to think about. He is Ferrari through and through, having come up through the junior ranks before being promoted to the works team after just a season in F1. Ferrari have presented Charles as their next world champion for the last 5 years, but by bringing Hamilton in, the Monegasque isn't the unquestionable team leader anymore. Of course, Ferrari will say there's no number 1 driver, as they have done for years, but we all know that's a lie. This will be a challenge for Charles, unlike any he has faced before, and if Hamilton shows him up as a pretender to the World Drivers' Championship throne, then Ferrari will look the fools for having put their faith in him for so many years. And what about the Tifosi? To drive at Ferrari, you have to know that the team is always bigger than the driver. It is unlike any other team in the sport where the driver can come first. Hamilton was Mercedes. Without him, no one knows what the Silver Arrows are. Hamilton was bigger than the team. Mercedes don't have fans, they have Lewis Hamilton fans. At Ferrari though, that dynamic will be very different. Hamilton and the Tifosi are 2 giant forces colliding. Will they join together into Formula One's biggest ever fanbase, or will they explode into a battlefield? That is a disaster waiting to happen. But even if this does end in disaster for Hamilton and Ferrari, it must have taken sheer genius to get Lewis to the team in the first place. Now though, Mercedes and Carlos Sainz must pick up the pieces of their shattered egos. Let's start with Sainz. Carlos has always seen himself as equal to Leclerc, and in 2023, picking up the only non-Red Bull win of the season and finishing within 6 points of his teammate, proved to a point that he could match up to Charles. But Ferrari has never been a fan of Carlos, and when Lewis Hamilton is an option, you're going to take him. Speculation about where the Spaniard will go next will run wild until a contract is signed, and with spaces up and down the grid for 2025, he will have options. Red Bull have a space. Alonso may not carry on at Aston, which would open up a spot. Both Alpine drivers are out of contract this year. Williams, Haas, and VCarb all have 2 seats free. There is of course the soon-to-be Audi team he's been linked to with so often. And now, Mercedes have a gaping hole in their lineup. Realistically though, a return to Red Bull isn't going to happen. A move to Mercedes would be too embarrassing for the Silver Arrows, and Alonso will stay at Aston, leaving his best chance of a competitive car in the future being the soon-to-be Audi F1 team, Stake F1. Both Bottas and Zhou are out of contract at the end of the year, and with Carlos Sainz Sr. having won the Dakar Rally with Audi recently, Jr. has an inside line to the team. For Mercedes, the options are far less abundant. As I just said, signing Carlos Sainz in a straight swap with Ferrari would be embarrassing and would really relegate their social standing in F1. It would be a clear indicator that Mercedes are a team on a downward slope, and that is not what they'll want after being dumped by their prized asset. Unless Wolff decides that promoting a junior driver into the team as a complete rebuild is the best way to go, then Alex Albon will be his likely target. The ex-Red Bull driver made an incredible impression on his return to the sport with Williams. He would be a positive appointment from Mercedes as well, as they build toward the new technical regulations in 2026. Hamilton has really dumped Mercedes in an awkward spot, with the sport's best up-and-coming drivers already tied up at Ferrari and McLaren. Mercedes must now scramble to decide on their strategy, and then secure a driver for 2025. Negotiations will have been ongoing over the winter between teams and drivers who are out of contract at the end of this year, and Mercedes are now incredibly late to the party. So what are your thoughts on all of this? Is this going to be a great move from Hamilton? Or will it end in disaster for the illustrious driver? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and until next time, drive safe and bye for now.